All right, boys and girls, we are here on a Thursday morning, I think. It's Thursday, right? Yeah, it's Thursday, April 2nd. So, yeah, let's get right into it and get the charts set up. And while we're doing that, we'll talk a little bit through what's been transpiring over the last several hours and through the night. Since yesterday's session, it's clear that we've had quite an adjustment in our overall price action, probably due in large part to the recent news and the Trump administration and Trump's speech last night with regards to the conflict with Iran. Um, all that being said, it's simply things for us to keep in mind as we begin to watch price action. We can see here that in the time during that speech, that we had quite a move downward. A bunch of sideways until the speech, and then once the speech, had quite a move from there. Looks like we are continuing a somewhat downward trend. Um, yeah, Asia session experienced quite a bit and then leveled out a little bit, still on a downward trend. We get London opening. It comes up, looks like it about gets to these areas of liquidities during its market manipulation period, definitely clears these, bounces around a little bit, and then begins to slowly make its move downward. It's pretty much a sideways day, so that was a real difficult trading day for London session, although I do see there are some opportunities there. Um, right now, we're kind of in the middle of that range on both of these. And with that in mind, let me go to the 5 minute here to make this a little more readable. There we go. With that in mind, we're probably looking at, excuse me, we're likely looking at something where, well, on initial blush, we're in the 5 minute, we're kind of in an uptrend. Actually, we've just broke structure to the downside in pre market here. So, um, what we're probably looking at is a move up into uh, this area of liquidity, maybe challenging this value gap right here, and then continuing to move downward. Now, from there, let's clean up the chart and begin to look at where certain target points might be for take profits and other areas of liquidity. We want to be able to have a good idea of where the likely magnetic points are going to be pulling price action toward. Okay, let's take a look here, see if we've got, okay, pretty much good everything there. Let's get rid of this one. Let's actually change that. No, we'll get rid of it. We'll mark it properly. There we go. All right, I want to squash these down. There we go. Okay. All right, got some things here. Got a little over 15 minutes to market open. Yeah. So let's take a look. Okay. Okay. Let's see what we have for news. Unemployment claims was already happened this morning. Okay. Will be down, so that's good. Okay. All right, let's take a look at the 1 hour, see if there's anything significant there we need to pay attention to. No. We got a value gap down here. I'm just going to keep an eye on this because based on what we're seeing here, this could open and then drop right down to these New York lows. What's sticking out to me is this whole Eiffel Tower movement right here. And given the news from yesterday, with the reaction to the way the news is, I believe New York session is likely going to pop up here. Now, why do we have that there? Hang on 1 second. Yeah, we have this here in the middle. I need to get rid of this. We don't need that. All right. So going back here to the 1 hour. Whoops. 1 hour. Thank you. Definitely in a downtrend. So definitely bearish. I think this is our main break point right here. This right here represents the bottom of a value gap on the 1 hour that I think if we hit below that mark would be a highly likely continuation down to New York lows. And we might see that already anyway. This very well could be another free fall right to New York lows from 2 days ago. or I should say, maybe not New York lows. Maybe it was. Might have been. Yeah, those are New York lows. So that's probably what we're going to be looking at there. Let's go to the 1 hour here on Nasdaq. I wonder if S&P is going to be our. We've got a very, very similar looking setup happening on Nasdaq as well. Yeah, I think on the day our target is actually going to be down here, New York lows. We'll keep an eye on it. This is definitely a bearish deal, unless there's some new announcement or some new piece of news that comes out. I think we're looking at definitely a bearish move. How we get there, I'm not sure just yet, but we'll look for the setups. Okay. So now that we have that, let's just add the 15-minute here. 15-minute looks a lot like the 5-minute. Even if we do get up here above London highs, I think that's as far as the manipulation is going to go. I mean, even if we test these value gaps right in here, I don't see it sustaining and moving its way back up. So somewhere in there, whether it's just above here at London, or somewhere in this value gap, the market manipulation would push up into there and then drop and then dive. Got lots of standing orders here. Got tons of extra sell orders here. So I think that's where we're going to see the market sweep. All right, let's get ourselves prepped here. We've got about 8.5 minutes to market open. Push that there. Yeah, let's do that. All right. Let's check out our market open and see where we're at. Oh. who got a bearish SMT forming. This is just the waiting game part. Just taking a look at price action. Comparing between the two, of course, got to keep an eye on what's happening between them. A little tighter view on things here. I think that'll give us a more accurate idea of what's happening. About 3.5 minutes to market open. Even more of a bearish SMT forming. You can see we did not get a break of structure to the downside on the S&P, but we did get a break of structure to the downside on NASDAQ. That's right here. You can see right here, this low right here, no break of structure, continues to move up, whereas here we had a break of structure against here. And then it's not moving quite as high. So NASDAQ seems to be the anchor on this one. On the surface, they seem a bit similar, but okay, it looks like we're pushing higher already. Still in the pre-market with just a minute to go. We'll see if we get a breach of this fair value gap right here. That would be interesting. And if we do, maybe we are looking at going to London highs. So we'll see if there's an opportunity there. Take a quick scalp. About 15 seconds to market open. Looks like we're already pushing higher a little bit. So looks like this area of liquidity is being worked out right now. I think it's going to be the fair value gap here in London right now. So there we go. Shooting right up right away. Give it a second because it always calms down. A lot of buyers coming in. Could be London highs is the liquidity spot, but I think this value gap is going to create some resistance. So we'll take a look if it's strong enough to breach that value gap, and if so, then we might have an entry headed to London highs. It might go without us too, for all we know. So, but we can definitely see it struggling in there. So something out of the gates might have been good if you were really taking that risk. Okay, looks like we are breaching that gap, but we still got a lot of time on this candle that it could reverse now. So we're going to take a minute. If the move goes without us, it goes without us because we know that we're going to be reversing or at least have another setup here at some point. So the idea is to stay patient and not get too crazy about any speculating on price action at the moment, even though I've got my button hovered over the buy here in case we get another spike. I'm going to pull off right now because I just get the impression that this was just an initial move for liquidity. It's taking out all the early shorts, forcing them to stop out. You can see here because they're right here at this point. This is where the stop loss would be for anybody taking a short out of the gate. That's where I'd put mine. You can see here it's flirting really, really tightly with that stop. So here's where we'd be looking for a sell. Let's go to the 1 minute and just see what that action looks like. Yeah. We breach this fair value gap here in the 1 minute, and chances are we're diving back down. So. Gonna give it a minute. It's gonna bounce around for a little bit. I'm gonna stay patient. This is where if I get a little too crazy, that's where you lose money. So I'm going to chill out, wait for this first candle to form, and then we'll have an opinion. Because at that point, I think we're going to be pretty strong in a sell. With that topping tail and not hitting that value gap, I think it's just a liquidity sweep. I think that's our sweep right there, and then we're going to start heading down. Okay, we got just a minute left. Okay, same here. It looks like we didn't quite get the value gap on the 1 minute, but we'll see if we drop here in the next 30 seconds or so when the next one forms. Yeah, that right there is where you're going to get stuck in the middle. Okay, now we should be looking at something here. Yep, that's what I was thinking. I'm going to
Order filled.
Just need to go a little bit more here. Okay, and that's
order
good right
filled.
There. Okay. All right, that was a good trade. Let's see where we came out here. Just shy of 350 bucks on that one, so that was good. All right, let's start working on these. Now that we've got a break of structure, we're still going to head south, so I think we're going to make this our
order filled.
Get in here. And right now our target is going to be about London lows. So I got in on the first part of the move. Now we'll see if we get in on the next. We're still looking pretty good on the 5 minute for S&P, but I think NASDAQ is the stronger pull. All right, that was a little disconcerting there. We did have a break of structure in the 1 minute. Let's just hang on here a second because London lows is really our target. I think we're actually still in a pretty good market structure here. Yeah, we're still pretty good. I still feel pretty good about this trade. I don't see the sentiment being that positive going to that. I mean, the market will do what it will anyway, but going back to the 1 minute, I think it's just a little pullback. We're getting a little more market action now. I almost want to put another ticket on this one. My gut's telling me to put another ticket on this one.
Order filled.
All right, I've got 2 tickets on this now. Let this drop a little more and then we'll get out quick. There we go. Okay, and we're
Order
out.
filled.
Okay, that one looked good, and we pulled $603 out of that one. All right, very good day, and all taken care of in the first 9 minutes. So that's exactly how my strategy works. It's just taking quick scalps on moves that seem to make sense. This is going to go to London lows, I'm sure of it. I don't know that I want to necessarily ride it down there. I might be giving some money back, but I got to stick with the strategy that's working for me. And if I leave a little money on the table, I just have to be okay with that. At some point, as I build these up and get into a more confident mental structure where I can sit with these trades and just let them ride out, then I'll be able to take advantage of bigger moves. But for right now, I'm happy with where everything turned out. So could I have ridden this all the way down to London lows? Yeah, absolutely. Probably would have made a hell of a lot more money too. Probably somewhere in the vicinity of 12 or 13 or even 1500 on the eval trades, which would have gotten me a lot closer to my eval quals. But I'm not going to complain. Um, it's just going to take the time it takes, and that's how I've got to be patient with it. Because you can see here, look, you can see it already. If I'm looking at riding this down to London lows, I'd have to ride through this pullback. I mean, or this, yeah, it's basically pulling back from its main direction. Now, is it going to come down to London lows? I would say, yeah, the momentum's definitely going to take it there, but it's going to take a few moves to get there. So, yeah, let's go ahead and just watch it ride out. I wouldn't take a trade here because you're in a bad spot with a low probability of actually getting there. I mean, that doji candle tells me we could spike right back up without getting to London lows. Might be playing with you. The market loves to toy with you there. I've seen this happen a million times too. It comes down, stops just shy, doesn't do its thing. It'll pop back up to about here, make you think that it's doing stuff. Sometimes it'll go ahead and just drop. Right here, that's too unpredictable an area to start getting stuck in a trade. Because you can see right here, look where this is bouncing around, teasing you that and then now you're on hopium, hopes and dreams that you're going to make it down here to London lows when it could just as easily cruise right back up and start to this value gap. Yeah, see, this is what's happening. So I think for right now, the strategy I've been working on has been working for me. So I need to lean into that and take advantage of that for as much as it'll give me, which for right now has been fine. So yeah, look at this. Look at this. You're telling me you thought it was going to London lows down here. You would have entered that right there. That's almost $1,000 move right there. You're telling me you could sustain $1,000 drawdown. And look at this. As soon as you get stopped out because you can't handle $1,000 drawdown, if you're in an eval account, because that would have knocked you out on your daily max loss, and this sucker's now just going to plummet right back down. It's going to pop down, probably stall somewhere in here. No, it did not break structure. This is actually part of the move. Comes back up. I mean, it's almost obvious. It's almost predictable at this point. Could you have gotten in right here as this was dropping down? Maybe. I feel a lot more confident about getting in right here with my stop up here than I do about getting in down here, hoping that I'm going to get the London lows. If I get in here with my stop there, there's your $1,000 move right down to London lows. You could still get back in to make that move. So let's just watch it. Let's just see. I could be wrong, but I mean, I've seen this thing a few times. So I'm getting the impression that we're looking at maybe just a temporary move up into equilibrium. I mean, yeah, we did break the value gap right here, but that doesn't mean as much if we have a candle that drops right back down and doesn't do anything. I mean, it almost fully rescinded the move. Now, if we had a candle that kept moving up and broke structure, now you've got two confluences that tell you you're moving back in the other direction. But here you don't. Here, that's a fake out right there. That is a fake out. That right there is to stick you right in the behind as this thing goes to London lows, because that's where it ultimately wants to go. It's just toying with people down there at the lower register. shaking out a bunch of amateurs that, and hey, it shook me out plenty of times. This is why I'm so passionate about that move right now. Why it pisses me off to see that kind of a move, knowing that there's a bunch of poor bastards that are getting shook out right now. It's unnerving. It's maddening is what it is. Because the market is shaking these poor bastards out and they're just losing money. So, it might move. It's going to bounce around a little bit. But does it want those London lows? Yep, sure does. In fact, I'm fairly confident it's going to take out the London lows and keep diving. Like, seriously diving. Because that's what this move is. We had our market manipulation. I mean, I'm not going to say definitely for sure we're not going to come back up to London highs. Anything's possible. But the greater likelihood is that we're heading to London lows. That's the greater likelihood. Let's just watch it while we got a few minutes. We're only 36 minutes into the video. Let's just take a look. We're just going to watch it. If it doesn't go to London lows, then it's even more of a fake out, and they're still toying with. If we get a break of structure to the upside here, then we're very likely going to be moving away from those lows for the moment. We didn't quite break structure here, teased it, but didn't quite do that here. Let's see what the 5-minute looks like here. NASDAQ. Yeah, see, we broke structure on the 5-minute, and now we're just playing around with this value gap. This is shaking people out right here. S&P is the same way. It did not break structure, but NASDAQ did again. So now we have an SMT forming, right? The telltale will be as if we break this value gap right here. If we close out above this value gap, then this thing is fully reversing, and now you got to move back up. But see, it does reinforce my point, even though I'm still feeling certain we're going to get to London lows. It reinforces my point that all this did here was a liquidity sweep, and the liquidity sweep just didn't get to its bottom. I think right here was the liquidity sweep here. We have something here, something in here, teasing to London lows. Yeah, we're getting there. Okay, so did we get the value gap? Not quite, but we're heading right back up. All right. There's your move. Didn't quite get to London lows. Maybe at some point we will. Maybe at some point. Maybe this is just a tease right here. This is shaking out a lot of people. Maybe this is just bigger. But see, this is what I'm saying. Let's say, for example, you decide to get in here and this is your stop. Yes, you would have gotten stopped out. But if you did get in here, you would have had this ride right here to decide if you wanted to take a quick scalp or if you wanted to ride it to London lows. So assuming you wanted to ride it to London lows, you're risking basically an entry right about here. You're risking that compared to this. So let's look at that real quick. Let's say you're getting in here. Oh, come on now. Yeah. All right. So you're getting in right there. You want your... Hang on. There we go. All right. So you want your profit to be right. Come on. You want your profit to be here, and your stop is going to be right here. Now you look at that. That's a 3.29 RR. That's a good bet. You get stopped out, okay. But you know what? That is a good bet. That's a good trade. And yeah, you're going to get stopped out on some of those, but that's a good trade. So the idea is just to take a look at where you're at with these. Let me see. We haven't established anything for equilibrium yet, but now it's starting to curl over. We did break structure. Yeah, we just barely broke structure here on this value gap, but we petered out and now we're headed back down. So again, this is all market manipulation right now. This is all market manipulation. S&P is technically still on an upswing. They did break the value gap right here, swung down. So no, maybe London highs on S&P. Could have been that this was the manipulation. I would have been more certain that it was going to go to London lows to take out this liquidity down here. And yeah, all the news things are saying that Wall Street's now not feeling very confident based on Trump's speech and some of the news commentary going on this morning. So we're just seeing the market shaking people out. They're just playing around with the retail traders right now. They've got complete control of this market. They're they don't care. They don't care if the market builds or sinks. What they care about is being able to find places to take the profit, manipulate the market where they need it to go, and make their profits for themselves and their clients. As long as you understand that, then whether the market goes up or down is relatively inconsequential. You just got to hope you got a money manager that knows how to handle these kinds of scenarios and build an equity curve for his or her clients. See, right now we've got a major SMT forming. Let's take a look here. Switch this back to the 5-minute. See here? I wouldn't have predicted this going up. So yeah, I would have, if I'd have tried to ride this down to London lows, I'd have gotten stopped out. Absolutely. But that's not my trading style anymore. Where at least for right now. Right now, it's all about finding the places where I can take my scalps, stay in my target zone of profit, and slowly build this equity curve. That's pretty much what I'm doing. All right. That'll be it for today, guys. Again, coming up on a 45-minute video. I'm going to leave it here. There's still a lot of trading opportunities that are going to be left in the day. Trade smart. Use your use your common sense, your discipline, manage your emotions, and stick with your trading plan. If it's not like mine, it's not like mine. You do one that works for you. If you begin to see the patterns where you're profitable and the patterns where you're not, begin to draw some conclusions around that and work with what works for you. So um, that'll be it for the day. We will see you all tomorrow. All right. Love you all. Take care.